this is not part of it. What Paul asked me to kind of speak to you about today was the Economist's approach to tablets and smartphones. And it was how we went about designing and developing them, what they mean for our business, and to share some interesting data, if we could, about their performance, which I've got some interesting data just come through in recent days, and then some thoughts around what we're up to in the very near future. So, what do tablets and smartphones mean to the economy? So what did they mean, at least a year and a half ago? So to answer that, we'll travel back in time a bit. And the questions we were all asking ourselves late nights after Steve Jobs pitched up the iPad and the iPhone, and we're like, holy smokes, what's going to happen here? Obviously, the first main questions, these are all quite obvious. How quickly do we need to react? And that, I think, got answered quite quickly. The answer was quite quickly. Two of the more challenging questions. How do we take advantage of them? As a premium, traditional publication brand, how do we take advantage of these devices? Because we all know how the last major media shift affected some print businesses. And so that takes us to our clear questions. How are they going to impact our core business, which is, of course, still our print? And so in order to answer these questions, we thought, well, let's take a look at what happened when we launched digital, meaning the web. And so, very quickly, this is a graph of our print circulation. And I'm proud to say at least our print has been largely only positively affected by the advent of the web. We launched economist.com way back when, we were up at 6 million UVs, and we've had absolutely no detrimental effects to our print circulation business. Now, I know we're a small company with this, and we're quite happy about that, but the question is why? Why has there been no negative effect from the web on our print business? Well, clearly there's something compelling, something that's irreplaceable about our print experience and the content. So to go back and answer the second two questions, the key questions that we had, as in how is it going to affect our core business, we thought, well, let's take a look at these devices and see if we can answer some of these questions. Now, clearly the portability, the quality, the functionality, everything that they have to offer, they just might give us that experience that we've been able to hold on to through print, even while the web was kind of going on. And if we utilize these devices correctly, we execute correctly, this could just build that bridge between our core, hardcore print subscriber base and these new, fresh, intellectually curious minds that are emerging that are clearly, going to be on all sorts of devices. And we need to find a bridge between our current subscribers and them. And this could be it. So, we needed to employ a strategy. Our strategy was this again, no major surprises, coming from the Economist at least. And that was to create and operate digital editions, as we refer to our tablets and our smartphone business, in the same way we run our print subscription business. So different from the web. That means subscriptions, base business, premium pricing, same as, or in some cases, higher than print. Advertising, full page, beautiful branding experience, again, different from the web. Allow our customers, we want our customers to be able to move now, give them the choice to experience, again, that experience, I say in quotes, that print experience, as it were, allow them to float between mediums to still have that same experience with us. But their choices can't impact or impede our core business, because we're in business. And lastly, this will allow us to just focus on our deep, incisive content that we know that our customers love so much. So, our approach. We have a strategy. We need to set up an approach for this. First and foremost, we're not going to follow. There were a lot of apps that just came out in mass succession, and they all seem to be trying to do the same thing. And we said, well, that's great, but let's just make sure we don't do it on purpose. It might end up that way, but we're okay if we have to be contrarian. We're not going to guess. We're not going to guess what our users want. Let's give them exactly that we know they want, and that's that print reading experience at the end of the day. And then have got that in their hands, we can make a more informed decision and around how we want to evolve product from there. And lastly, we need to create some rules. We need a philosophy to guide us through the design and development process and stick to them quite aggressively. So what were these rules? Now these rules came about when we did our assessment of what is that experience that's allowing our print business to thrive during this web years, and that was, it had to be a lean back immersive experience. I'll talk a bit more about that. No distractions. Okay. It has to be collectible, finishable. You know, our customers love to have their Economist covers piled up on a coffee table, makes them feel a certain way. It can't be the web, and that included from an advertising perspective. Ideally, a reader who's read an Economist article, if we execute correctly, if they read it on the iPad, if they read it on their smartphone, if they read it in print, they should not remember at the end of the week where they got that content from. If we executed the reading experience correctly. And lastly, access time. What I mean by that is we picture our average subscriber waking up Friday morning, eager to read their latest issue of The Economist. They run downstairs to their mailbox, and the time it takes them to get their fresh new Economist, rip open the cellophane wrapper, open up the front cover, and start reading. Or, if it's in their office, they run to the mailroom, they do the same thing. That's the exact amount of time that we want our readers to be able to turn on their iPad, smartphone, and access our content and start reading the edition. So it has to be that same amount of time. So, a bit of insight into our design and development and our approach here. So, design and development. We have these rules. We've got a piece of a big screen on in our room. All the design work was done in-house. This was done to just stay, razor sharp focused on our rules, our philosophies. We also wanted to make sure that we utilize. This wasn't just a project that we're going to do in the back corner. The cool kids are going to go work on the apps because the ones who play the tablets. This was a project that was going to affect our business quite aggressively. So we brought in everybody: the content management system developers, the visionaries, the product development visionaries, the graphics teams from print and online, advertising, sales, editorial, everybody. And lastly, Apple and Google were very, very, very supportive with their resources and their time during our design phase, and so they're very helpful during that part. Now, in conjunction with the design stages, we used, when it came to actually building the apps, when it came to coding them, we used some extremely talented third-party developers. One of which is Tiger Spike here in the UK, and they built our Android smartphone, and they, we were incredibly challenging partner to work with, considering our rules, and they executed quite well along with the copy working as we built our iPhone. Our strategy around having two different developers, build our iPad and our iPhone, was that we wanted the same launch dates for both apps, and we knew what an aggressive task was going to be, and so we split over between the two. Now, a little bit more about the design and the experience that we were designing. The iPad. I spoke about the access time, and we aimed and we got between 5 and 15 seconds to download the entire full issue. It's 90 articles of long-form content. That's all it takes to download the entire edition, including all the advertising and 3D advertising. Smartphones, 20 to 40 seconds, and that's over 3G. For the most part, provided it's a strong 3G signal, of course. But we wanted to, we know our readers, we know smartphone readers are going to be walking around, and they want quick access. 20, 40 seconds almost might be too long. So that might be my telling me to shut up. Yeah, sorry. Smartphones, so we introduced progressive download. Progressive downloading just simply meant that we can get our users to start reading at least the first article in the edition, while the rest of the articles download in the background, and that gave them that quick access that they need to jump into the tube or in a train or a plane in case they've got something to do right away. And of course, all the content is downloaded for offline reading, and that's kind of the standard nowadays. That includes our advertising and our audio. The reading experience itself. Now, this is the bit that we agonize over. This is the space that we really push the limits of our third-party developers, who again surprised us and did extremely well delivering what we asked here. And this was, what I mean by unique templates here is that if you look at our app, and I urge you to all take a look when you get a chance, designed very specific templates, like almost 100 of them, for every possible layout and combination and special section of that we show in the print magazine. We wanted to recreate that in the iPad. We didn't want one simple template that had it all, one size fits all kind of idea. So what you find is a very subtle sort of experience in that it all seems to just look right all the time. Now, it's not something that jumps out at you, but in order to do that and give you that experience, it took a lot of work. Navigation, standard, take the content that everyone expects out of the print. They know how to find their special section that they like, and they can read it what they like. We threw in a few extra navigation tools to help the sort of discoverability of new content that they may not have found before. And the last bit, Cortex Reflow, I like to just say that. That's something Tigerspike, our developer, was able to help us with, and this was a cool surprise. As you can imagine yourself with an iPad, and when you pinch and zoom on a typical web page, the page blows up, you get all the size of the screen. And then you find yourself kind of moving the content around to find what you want to read. What this allowed us to do was, within our templates, if you were to zoom on some content to expand the font size, only the font size of the letters all expanded, and all the content flowed through, including the images, flowed through the templates, and simply expanded the length of the article. So if it went 3 pages, it went to 5 pages. But nothing blew up and off the screen, and it all stayed within the context of the templates being created. And again, subtle, but very different from anybody else in our space. The listening experience. Now, this was where that lean back, immersive experience came to with the iPhone. You can do that with the iPad. You can sit back, and it's all the nice iPad ads show you. But with smartphones in general, there's a mobility element of things. We wanted to make sure our users can still just plug in, lose themselves in our content, whether they're on the tube, whether they're walking the dog, whether it's their commute to work. We got to replicate the lean back experience. Full edition, completely every article read by professional news readers, which we've got kind of a lot of praise for. Advertising, full page advertising, as I said before. We do big, bold branding experience, completely separate from the content, embedded within articles, but you'll never see content and advertising together. And then there's a reaching element if you're connected to the Wi-Fi, you can go in and experience similar. So after all that hard work, this is what we came up with. If you don't mind taking play some volume.
Chilean engineers, rescuers and workers have shown what they are capable of.
So that was our app. Came out about a year ago. All of us were using it. We're hoping to pump that a bit. Those apps came out in November of last year. This is the proposition that we came out with. The app is free to download. We want to make sure we got to as many investors as we can get. Our model around getting them to the subscription step was through a concept of editor's highlights. So the app is free. What you get is all the collectability, the functionality, all that. You get all your covers and library stream, but you only get access to 6 articles if you download the free edition. These are our editor's highlights. But if you then subscribe by a single issue from within the app, or if you're an existing print subscriber or a digital subscriber, you then get access to the full. You just log in and it'll open up the entire app. Weekly issues, just like print, the exact same point in time that we publish our print at 9 p.m. on Thursday night in UK time. Your new issues smartphones and Android came out just last month. From a marketing perspective, we went out to, we targeted our core subscriber base first, then we targeted our economist.com audience, and then we reached out to the broader market. Apple and Google were very kind to us with their collaborative marketing. Apple was kind enough to plaster Economist on iPads all over the UK, which is quite nice. And our target was 500,000 unique downloads, so unique devices within 3 months was what I said to the team. Now some insight into how we've done. As you can see, we hit the 500,000 mark, well in the first month. We hit it in about 11 days. So very, very successful from our perspective, and we are on an explosive growth here. These are, again, unique devices that we are currently downloaded on. We have just gone over 3 million now, and so growing at a pretty heavy rate. And iPad, all three are contributing quite nicely to that number. Now, of those downloads, how many of them are actually accessing our content through the apps? We've got a much slower increase over here over time. iPad, as you can see, is kind of putting a charge on us. Imagine iPad 2 kicking in, and Android adding a massive chunk for us. And we're just under 1.2 million unique individuals accessing our content through the apps every month. Of course, we all want to know how media received us, and I'll go through this quite quickly, but a trusted publication, The Guardian, Economist Magazine's brand, The Economist iPad, is a model of elegant understatement. I think that's a general theme that we've got through all of our media reception. Simple, elegant, understated, and all things we kind of are striving for. The users, of course, are quite important to hear what they have to say. It's all quite mushy, and I won't bore you with all their gushing comments, but let me say they're all quite positive. Some interesting data. I wanted to share with you some information that we've now been able to just recently pop from a consumption. Now, this is strictly from an iPad perspective. We're still collecting the iPhone data and the Android data, but we're pleased to say the iPad, our average iPad reader is consuming 1 hour, 45 minutes every week of our content. And of those iPad readers, if they also have an iPhone, they are combined interaction with our app is 2 hours and 30 minutes. We don't have the iPhone separate data. Where are they consuming? No surprises here. The vast majority are clearly consuming our content at home, and we cater to quite a few business travelers. Of those in 100% kind of pool, 61% are reading us on transit, 19% at work. And we've got an interesting new kind of space here that we're hoping to see some growth in. This is school, education, universities, colleges, and as tablets make their push into the classrooms, we're hoping to see a big jump there. Some demographic data that has also just come through. Again, this is iPad. 33% are C-suite, 38% direct to hire, 47% are senior management. We're skewed quite heavily male, that's understandable when you overlap our demographic with the Apple, the iOS world. Average age is 44, and the average wage is £132,000. So we've seen, again, nothing surprising here. This was all quite as expected, all very much in line with print. We've seen a bit of a jump in salary, relatively digital, again, they're overlapping two very important demographics, and we skew a bit more male than we do on the print simply, and as we overlap with iOS. So, some lessons learned, as I was asked to share some. Again, probably nothing overly massive here, but beware of bells and whistles. If you're a publisher out there, or if you are in that space with respect to advertising, bells and whistles are great, provided they are in line with your brand offering, and what the audience is expecting. So, from us, from our perspective, we knew what our audience was going to require and need, and we stayed true to it, and we got whatever praise for that. Your developer is your best friend. Whether you're doing it in-house or you're doing it by third party, if they're not your best friend, make them your best friend. They will get you out of pickles, and if you work very closely good apps do take time. So again, when you're dealing with marketing, when you're dealing with potential advertisers, when you're dealing with your internal stakeholders, do not underestimate how long it takes to make a beautiful app. And lastly, take it slow at the beginning, get your concept down just right, and then everything's going to fall into place. But don't be afraid to really agonize over what you want to try to deliver as a representation. What's next? So we at The Economist always like to lead quite firmly with the reading experience, which is what we did. We focused completely on the reading experience. So my next goal is to then, obviously we'll keep trying to innovate and keep the reading experience moving along, but advertising is going to be a big element for us in the short term. That is both from a product development perspective as well as data capturing and sharing with agencies and advertisers and brands, because I know they are, I think some of you are probably struggling to understand just what tablets and smartphones might mean for you, and we're hoping we can help answer those questions with data that we're now starting to come into us. It's taken a little while. I suspect with most publications are still pretty dated. iOS still has attention clearly. I mean, they're just a juggernaut, so we can't forget them. So we're going to keep innovating for them. Other platforms, I won't waste too much time on that. I mean, there's a lot of things happening in this space. We are always obviously trying to be everywhere that our audience is, and give them a choice of where they want to be. But of course, we're running a business at the end of the day, so we need to make sure our demographics overlap quite nicely with that, and that they all just make sense.